Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on automating SharePoint Online permission auditing at enterprise scale. The title says it all. Today, we'll explore how to overcome the complexity of permissions management and boost security through continuous, programmatic access management. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through the challenges, solutions, and best practices for implementing scalable permission auditing. So, let's get started and see how automation can transform your SharePoint security landscape. Let's start by discussing the challenge of SharePoint permissions. Permissions are constantly changing because SharePoint Online is a very dynamic environment. This means that keeping permissions secure and well-organized is an ongoing challenge. One of the main issues is that most organizations don't have a single, consolidated report that clearly shows who has access to what. Without this, oversight becomes nearly impossible, especially in a fast-moving environment where access rights are frequently updated. Additionally, managing permissions at scale is incredibly complex. Thousands of sites can change daily, which makes tracking and maintaining proper access even more difficult. This constant evolution creates a permissions landscape that can feel chaotic and hard to control. All of these factors underscore the importance of automating permission auditing, especially at an enterprise level, to ensure security and efficiency. Let's take a closer look at the traditional permission review process. Typically, this involves manual reviews where spreadsheets are sent to site owners, who then check access lists and sign off on permissions. While this approach can create a temporary sense of control, it quickly becomes outdated. New sites and permission changes happen all the time, often without notice, so the control is short-lived. This method is also quite labor-intensive and prone to errors, especially as the environment grows and evolves rapidly. It simply can't keep pace with the fluid nature of SharePoint environments. So, although it might seem manageable at first, it quickly becomes a challenge to maintain an accurate, up-to-date picture of permissions. That's why relying solely on manual reviews isn't sustainable for enterprise-scale environments. We need a more automated, reliable approach to ensure permissions are current and secure. Let's talk about why traditional reviews often fall short when it comes to managing permissions at an enterprise scale. First, permissions and site statuses can change rapidly, sometimes within just a few hours of a review. This creates a very dynamic environment that makes relying solely on traditional review processes quite challenging. Then there's the sheer volume and speed of these changes. When you're dealing with thousands of sites across different departments and regions, manual tracking becomes almost impossible. Sites are created every day, old projects are archived, permissions are constantly shifting, and often very quickly after a review has taken place. All these factors combined highlight why manual methods simply aren't effective anymore. They can't keep up with the constant updates, which makes maintaining compliance and security a real challenge at this scale. This is exactly why automating SharePoint Online permission auditing becomes so essential when managing at an enterprise level. Let's take a closer look at the complexity of SharePoint permissions. Without thorough inspection, many permissions can stay hidden from view. This means it's easy to overlook who actually has access to specific files or sites, which can pose security risks. One of the main challenges is hidden permissions, especially when users gain access through nested groups. These groups can include security groups that are synced from Azure Active Directory, and this nesting makes it difficult to see the true access paths. As a result, tracking permissions becomes quite challenging. Another layer of complexity comes from how SharePoint permissions are structured. They are layered and often inherited from parent sites down to individual files. But this inheritance isn't always straightforward. Overrides can happen at various levels, which adds to the difficulty of managing who has access and where. Understanding these key points highlights why permission management at enterprise scale needs careful, automated auditing solutions to ensure security and compliance. Let's take a closer look at some of the hidden access points that can pose serious compliance challenges. These are often overlooked, but can significantly increase the risk of sensitive data exposure. When access points are hidden, it becomes much harder to track who has access to what, and that can lead to unintentional data leaks. Another critical issue is lingering guest accounts. Sometimes, guest accounts are set to expire, but they end up lingering indefinitely. This essentially creates an open door for unauthorized access over time, which can be a major security concern. Finally, stale permissions are a common problem. For example, employees who have left the company or changed roles might still have access through old permissions or synced groups. These permissions often go unnoticed, but they can be exploited if not regularly reviewed and cleaned up. All these issues highlight why continuous auditing and automation are essential at an enterprise scale. They help us identify and mitigate these risks before they become serious problems, ensuring our data stays protected and our compliance stays intact. Now, let's talk about why automated permission auditing is so critical. A live, automated, and continuous auditing system is essential because it helps us maintain accurate and up-to-date visibility and control over permissions. Relying on manual reviews or annual snapshots just doesn't cut it anymore. Permissions are constantly changing. New users are added, access levels are modified, and sometimes permissions are forgotten or overlooked. The traditional model of taking a snapshot once a year simply isn't sufficient. It's broken because permissions are living data. They're dynamic and always in flux. Manual reviews only give us a snapshot at a single moment in time, which means organizations are always playing catch-up, always behind the current state of permissions. That's where automation comes into play. An automated system continuously monitors and audits permissions, providing real-time insights. This way, organizations can stay ahead of changes, ensure compliance, and maintain better security overall. It's a fundamental shift from static, periodic checks to a proactive, ongoing process that keeps permissions transparent and controlled at all times. Now, let's look at how PNP PowerShell serves as a robust solution for automating permission auditing in SharePoint Online. First, it provides a solid foundation for collecting permission data automatically. This means we can gather information across the entire tenant efficiently, making the process scalable no matter how large the environment is. One of the key advantages is that it allows us to connect to every SharePoint site programmatically with just a single command. This eliminates the tedious and error-prone task of manual navigation through the UI, saving us a lot of time and effort. Furthermore, PNP PowerShell acts as a bridge between SharePoint Online and our automation tools. It simplifies the complexities of API interactions, making seamless integration possible. This way, we can build more efficient, automated permission management workflows that are essential at an enterprise scale. In essence, it empowers us to manage permissions more effectively and at a much larger scale than ever before. When working with large and dynamic environments, naive scripting approaches often run into significant challenges. These simple scripts tend to struggle because they aren't built to handle the complexities and scale involved. This highlights the urgent need for more robust, scalable solutions that can adapt to these demanding environments. Another major issue is token expiration. During an automated process, tokens can expire mid-operation, causing the scripts to fail unexpectedly. Throttling limits, which restrict how many requests can be made in a given time, also cause failures. These limitations make scripts brittle and unreliable, especially when trying to scale up to larger environments. Then there's the challenge of interactive logins. These require manual user input, which makes scheduled or unattended automation nearly impossible. In dynamic environments, where automation is key, this dependency on manual intervention severely limits what you can achieve. Overall, these challenges emphasize why relying on simple scripting isn't enough. We need more resilient, automated solutions that can handle token expiration, throttling, and the need for unattended operation to effectively manage permissions at enterprise scale. This slide highlights how app-only authentication provides a stable and scalable foundation for continuous automation. It allows us to run scripts reliably over the long term without needing manual intervention, which is crucial when managing enterprise-scale SharePoint Online permissions. By establishing a solid foundation for automation, we ensure that our processes are both consistent and dependable. Now, to keep this system secure, certificates should be stored in a safe location, like Azure Key Vault. This approach makes sure that our authentication remains robust and tamper-proof, reducing risks associated with credential exposure. Using Azure AD app registrations with certificate-based authentication is a best practice here. It allows our scripts to run unattended and securely, without the need for user prompts or worrying about password expiry. Overall, these strategies support secure, reliable, and scalable automation at the enterprise level, aligning perfectly with our goal of streamlined permission management. Let's talk about how automated, tenant-wide enumeration plays a crucial role in our audits. By using automation, we can ensure that no sites are missed, no matter how large the tenant is. This means we get a thorough oversight and can maintain compliance across all sites within the tenant. Now, to achieve this, Microsoft Graph is a powerful tool because it provides consistent, tenant-wide site discovery. It helps us identify all sites efficiently. On the other hand, for smaller environments, PNP search can be a quick and effective solution to find sites rapidly. This combined approach offers a robust way to manage and discover sites comprehensively. It's about having reliable tools that scale according to the size of the environment, making site management much more manageable. Let's also consider the challenges of hardcoding site URLs. When you hardcode URLs, it becomes unmanageable at scale because every time a site changes or a new one is added, you'd have to update your scripts manually. Instead, using search-based enumeration or the Microsoft Graph API allows us to dynamically list all sites. This approach is much more adaptable and scalable, ensuring we can handle growth and changes seamlessly across the entire tenant. Now, let's talk about proper throttling management and why it's so crucial when automating SharePoint Online permission auditing at an enterprise scale. Proper throttling helps us avoid those frustrating 429 errors, which happen when we send too many requests too quickly. By managing request rates carefully, we ensure our scripts can complete within realistic timeframes, keeping the systems stable and responsive. One key strategy is structuring our loops to process manageable subsets of data. This way, if something interrupts the process, we can recover gracefully and pick up where we left off without restarting everything from scratch. Additionally, batching requests and inserting pauses between them helps prevent overwhelming SharePoint and Graph endpoints. This approach balances efficiency with system health, making sure our automation runs smoothly and reliably. In essence, good throttling management is about being respectful of the system's limits while maintaining performance, an essential part of enterprise-scale automation. Now, this slide highlights how our strategy enables full tenant-wide access entirely through automation. What this means is that we can manage permissions across the entire SharePoint environment without relying on manual UI processes, which are often time-consuming and prone to errors. Instead, we're leveraging programmatic access to connect to every site in the tenant seamlessly. This addresses one of the biggest hurdles in permission auditing at scale: discovery and connection. By automating this process, we ensure continuous, effortless access without manual intervention. Think of it like creating a nervous system for your SharePoint tenant, where every site and resource is connected and accessible through automated tools. This approach not only simplifies permission management, but also creates a comprehensive, real-time overview of your entire environment. It removes the barriers of manual UI interaction, enabling a more efficient, reliable, and scalable way to audit and manage permissions across the enterprise. Let's take a closer look at how the Microsoft Graph API helps us uncover access details that are often overlooked. What does that really mean? Well, beyond the usual permissions we see on the surface, the API reveals critical information like direct invites and inherited permissions that are essential for thorough security assessments. These hidden access points can be easy to miss, but are vital for understanding who truly has access. This rich dataset provided by Microsoft Graph is key for accurate, compliance-ready permission auditing. It allows organizations to meet regulatory requirements with confidence, ensuring that permissions are correctly configured and monitored. Furthermore, the API exposes detailed permission data across multiple platforms, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams, in a unified way. It highlights direct invites, group memberships, and inherited access, which are often invisible through basic queries. This unified view gives us comprehensive permission insights, making our audits more precise and effective. Understanding permission inheritance in SharePoint is crucial for effective permission management. On this slide, we focus on the importance of upward traversal when auditing permissions. Without going upward through folders, libraries, and sites, some hidden categories of access can remain undiscovered. This means there could be permissions granted that you're completely unaware of, which can pose security risks. Auditing helps us analyze permissions across all levels, ensuring that we have a complete picture. But to do this effectively, we need to consolidate permissions from different levels to understand the true access a user has. This is where the concept of consolidating permissions comes in. It involves gathering and merging permissions from individual files, folders, libraries, and the site itself. It's important to remember that direct permissions alone don't tell the full story. Inherited permissions, which are passed down from higher levels, must be traced back upward to see the full scope of access. If we neglect this upward traversal, entire categories of access can remain hidden, leaving gaps in our understanding. So, the key takeaway here is that effective permission auditing depends on tracing permissions upward. This allows us to see the complete picture of user access, ensuring security and proper management across the entire SharePoint environment. Now, let's talk about handling large data sets and pagination. When working with Graph API responses, it's common to encounter pagination after about 200 items. This means that instead of getting all the data at once, you'll receive a link, called it OData, next link, which you need to follow to fetch the next batch of data. This process helps us manage large data sets efficiently without overwhelming the system or causing performance issues. It's important to understand that your scripts must have looping logic to handle this pagination seamlessly. By implementing this, you can process thousands of entries without risking timeouts or losing track of the data. Essentially, the loop keeps fetching data until there's nothing left to retrieve, ensuring completeness. Another key aspect is managing throttling. When the API responds with a retry after value, indicating we should wait before making more requests, respecting that value is crucial. Doing so prevents overloading the API and helps us maintain a stable connection. This way, we can continue collecting data sustainably without hitting rate limits or causing failures. Altogether, these strategies, pagination, looping, and respecting throttling, are vital to efficiently and reliably managing large-scale permission audits in SharePoint Online at an enterprise level. Now, let's take a closer look at how this normalized permissions dataset enhances our management capabilities. This view allows us to sort permissions easily by user or resource, making it much simpler to analyze access patterns. It also supports instant filtering, especially for guest or external access, which is crucial for maintaining security oversight. Next, we focus on accurate access mapping. By resolving group IDs into actual user accounts, we can see precisely who has access to what, ensuring our permissions are transparent and well understood. And finally, all permissions, whether from sites, lists, libraries, or individual files, are consolidated into a single, flattened dataset. This approach centralizes everything, making permission management more streamlined and efficient. Altogether, this unified, normalized dataset is a powerful tool for managing permissions at scale, helping us improve security, clarity, and control across the enterprise. Now, let's take a closer look at the two-pass data collection strategy. The first step is resource enumeration, where we identify all the resources we need to audit, such as sites, lists, and critical libraries. This step is crucial because it sets the foundation for everything that follows, ensuring we have a complete picture of the environment. Next, in the first pass, we query the permissions directly assigned to each resource, as well as inherited permissions. We also resolve group memberships to individual users, so we know exactly who has access and at what level. This thorough approach helps us capture all access details accurately. Then, in the second pass, we perform permission querying again, but this time focusing on the actual permission assignments. This two-step process guarantees that our data is comprehensive and precise. Overall, this strategy provides a clear and actionable understanding of resource permissions, allowing us to analyze and manage SharePoint Online permissions effectively at scale. Now, let's look at how these benefits come together to support our overall goals. This visibility is crucial for compliance, security, and proactive access management. By having clear, up-to-date information, organizations can manage access more effectively and responsibly. Regular permission reports play a key role here. They prevent stale data from accumulating, which means we're not relying on outdated or incorrect information. This reduces the risk of security gaps and helps maintain an accurate picture of who has access to what. And with live data, we get instant insights into access permissions. This includes not just internal users, but also guest and external users. The advantage is that we always have real-time visibility, allowing us to respond quickly to any changes or issues. Altogether, these capabilities enable us to stay compliant, secure, and proactive in managing permissions across the enterprise. Automating audits using Azure Automation is a game changer, especially when it comes to managing SharePoint Online permissions at an enterprise scale. One of the key benefits is that it significantly minimizes the risks associated with manual script execution. When we automate, we reduce the chance of human error, ensure consistent application of audit procedures, and keep our environment secure. It also guarantees that audits happen smoothly without interruptions or access issues, which is crucial for maintaining compliance and security standards. Automation makes the entire process more reliable by enabling repeatable, unattended audits that include comprehensive logging. This means we have a clear record of what was done, when, and by whom, which is essential for accountability. Error handling is another critical aspect. When we set up our automation properly, it can detect and manage errors automatically, ensuring the process remains reliable and consistent over time. This reduces the need for constant manual oversight and helps catch issues early. Azure Automation runbooks serve as a cloud-based scheduler and execution engine for our permission audit scripts. They eliminate the need to manually run scripts, reducing the risk of mistakes or delays. Plus, because everything runs in the cloud, it minimizes the risk of server downtime or losing access to critical systems during audits. Overall, by leveraging Azure Automation, we're making our permission auditing process more efficient, reliable, and secure. Key benefits that align perfectly with our overall goal of effective and scalable permission management in SharePoint Online. Let's talk about role-based access controls and how they enhance security. Essentially, these controls make sure that only authorized automation accounts can access the credentials stored in Azure Key Vault. This means we're adding an extra layer of security to our authentication process, ensuring that no one else can retrieve sensitive information. Now, centralizing credential management offers another big advantage. By keeping our certificates or client secrets in one secure place like Azure Key Vault, we simplify the process of certificate rollover. This means we can update or renew certificates without having to change our scripts, making our system both more secure and easier to maintain. Finally, storing credentials securely in Azure Key Vault is crucial. It helps protect our credentials from unauthorized access, and by applying role-based access controls, we ensure that only the right automation accounts can retrieve them. This approach not only secures our credentials, but also streamlines management, keeping our automation processes both safe and efficient. Let's talk about alerting and early warning systems. These proactive tools are essential because they provide continuous oversight of sensitive permissions across your organization. By automating this process, we can minimize risks and significantly boost your security posture. This approach shifts the traditional audit process from being passive, simply reporting issues after they happen, to active monitoring that keeps a real-time eye on permission changes. That way, critical modifications are less likely to go unnoticed, helping you respond swiftly. You can configure alerts to send notifications directly to your team, whether through Microsoft Teams or email alerts to security groups. This setup ensures that potential risks are flagged immediately, enabling rapid response and mitigation. Another important aspect is change detection. Instead of relying solely on scheduled audits, this method allows you to compare current permission datasets with previous snapshots. It helps you spot new guest users or unexpected permission changes on sensitive sites instantly, making your security measures more proactive and effective. Overall, integrating these alerting and early warning capabilities transforms your security approach from reactive to proactive, ensuring continuous oversight and rapid response to any permission issues. Let's wrap up by emphasizing the importance of managing permissions with clear intent and confidence. Automating SharePoint Online permission auditing at an enterprise scale helps eliminate guesswork, which significantly reduces security risks. When IT teams can confidently control access, they're empowered to move beyond reactive tasks and focus more on strategic initiatives that add value. Now, how do we achieve this? By combining tools like PNP PowerShell, Microsoft Graph API, and Azure Automation, we create a streamlined, hands-off process. This integration ensures that we're always working with the most current insights without manual effort, making permission management more efficient and reliable. Transitioning to automated, continuous auditing enhances the precision of permission oversight. It means we gain peace of mind knowing that our permission reports are accurate and generated daily. This shift not only improves security, but also frees up valuable time for IT teams to focus on bigger picture goals. Ultimately, this approach aligns perfectly with our overall goal of smarter, more secure access management at scale. Now, let's look at some additional resources that can help you take your SharePoint Online permission auditing to the next level. On this slide, you'll find a link to the full article titled Automating SharePoint Online Permission Auditing at Enterprise Scale. It's a valuable resource that offers detailed steps and practical tools to simplify your auditing process. The key takeaway here is that automation can significantly reduce the time and effort required for permission reviews, especially at scale. You'll discover scripts and expert insights that can streamline your workflow, making your permissions management both more efficient and more accurate. By following the best practices shared in the article, you can also strengthen your overall Microsoft 365 security posture. It's about making smarter, more consistent permission reviews a routine part of your security strategy. For a comprehensive guide with step-by-step instructions, I encourage you to visit the full article at the URL provided. Exploring these insights will equip you with the knowledge and tools needed to automate permission audits effectively and ensure your environment remains secure.